Well, hey there, all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome to another episode of the Age Groupies Podcast, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Mike Ergo, and along with my co-host Lindsay Hiken, we're here to talk to you about all things related to endurance sports from an amateur athlete perspective. We talk about how to have fun along the way and make our sports a little less intimidating. You can follow the show on Instagram at Age Groupies, join our Age Groupies page on Facebook, and look us up by name, Lindsay Hiken and Mike Ergo on Strava. If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email us, agegroupies@gmail.com. If you guys like the show, please leave us a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
I want to talk to you about UCAN Superstarch. UCAN is what I consume on the race course and for long or intense training sessions. Now, it's different than any sports nutrition out there because they use Superstarch. Superstarch is a complex carbohydrate that doesn't spike blood sugar, delivering a slow and steady release of glucose into the bloodstream. Stable blood sugar provides steady energy to both the muscles and the brain and controls cravings caused by blood sugar lows. I recently used this to complete the Pandemic Man 70.3 using only UCAN, and let me tell you guys, I was surprised by how well it worked. Pleasantly surprised. I didn't need to use any gels, anything, just UCAN. And I felt great. I didn't feel bloated, didn't feel hungry, didn't have any of those intense cravings I get on the race course a lot. So I want you to try it out too. Learn about why you should fuel the pursuit with UCAN and save 10% on all your orders by using the link in the show notes. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Welcome to Age Groupies Podcast. What's up, Mike?
What is up? I'll tell you what, it is like the storm of the year. Well, it's only January, so it can't be that big of a deal. But yeah, a lot of rain outside right now.
Mm-hmm. But it's not as rainy as I thought it was going to be. I mean, they were talking atmospheric river on the news. And of course, my partner Josh is a cynic and a, kind of a curmudgeon-y old bastard, basically.
Yeah.
And he was like, as soon as the news busted out the term atmospheric river, he was like, nope, and just shut the news off. He's like, I'm tired of these people trying to make everything into like a big dramatic, like.
Yeah.
And so it's actually not even raining in Half Moon Bay right now.
Yeah, it's raining here, but which is interesting to know and listening to this, but it's nothing like, a nor'easter, and I've been through one of those, like out in Massachusetts, and that's real weather. This is a little bit of rain.
But California, we fall apart when it's like actually, truth be told, they were saying that the real danger is the fact that California has been on fire, and so there's just potential for like a ton of mudslides because we don't have any of the trees and the shrubs that would normally keep that stuff together. So that is legit because we don't have nor'easters, but we do have a actual legit fire season now, which is a term no one should have, but we have that.
You know what made me sad is that my daughter's school has a week of smoke days built into it. Not like just like snow days, but like assuming California's going to catch on fire, so they already have a week off planned. Oh
my gosh, that is depressing. I had no idea that was happening. That's so depressing.
Yeah.
My God.
But
okay, well,
we can still train throughout it, and I think that's kind of the focus of our show today is like what you do when it's inclement weather. I mean, I think our friends in the Midwest and East Coast have a little bit of advantage, like, knowing what to do when it's snowing. They probably have basements, which we don't have out here on the West Coast.
Oh yeah, they're set up for inside.
Yeah.
Training or whatever. Or
when people talk about their pain cave there, it's like an entire basement of like cool, fun things to do. And I'm talking about a little corner of my garage that I like swept out and, cleared all of the cobwebs so I can fit my bike. And literally when I'm riding, I have to stay aero because my kickboard, my diving kickboard and like my crab nets and like fishing equipment is hanging right over my head. So like I have to be bent over or else I'm like whacking my head in it. So I think my coach would be happy for that.
Oh, that's so funny. For those listeners who don't live in California, and I know there's a bunch of you out there, and maybe you aren't familiar with the deal here, most of our homes don't have basements, at least not here in Northern California, because we have this other issue besides the fires called earthquakes. Makes the ground a little unstable. So if you were gonna have a basement in your house, you've got to go through this huge process with these like soil engineers and whatever to make sure you're not going to just, your house isn't going to just completely fall apart if there's an earthquake. So we don't have this awesome. I mean, I lived on the East Coast and I had a completely refinished basement. It was like just another whole level of the house, and there was all kinds. I had a workout room in there, and it was amazing. Here.
So jealous.
I was in our garage too. Well, Mike. So Mike, I had a treadmill I needed to get rid of, and I had never said anything to anybody about it. And Mike randomly posted that he was looking for a treadmill, and I was like, if you come get it, you can have it, because my partner was wanting me to get it out of our garage. And you saw that little dingy corner where it was, right?
Yeah, yep.
That's where I used it. And then you saw my trainer right behind it, right? That was where my trainer was, my old trainer.
Yep.
Just facing a like cobweb covered wall of old paint cans.
Oh yeah, and I took the hood off that treadmill, and I found a few cobwebs I vacuumed out.
Did that change? Did that make the problem better? The squeaking?
No, but I got to check out the insides of it and felt like I at least did something, because I unscrewed screws and then screwed them back in, and I vacuumed. So I figure it won't catch on fire now.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad you didn't find like a brown recluse in there, because we have some of those around.
I saw it's a black widow corpse, but it wasn't a live one. Was
it really?
Yeah. I'm good at finding black widows. I don't know why, but I tend to find them.
I threw out an old pair of Uggs because I had left them sitting in that garage for like over a year, and I was just like, there's no way I'm putting my toes in there. First of all, they were super old anyway, but second of all, I was like, they've got all kinds of black widows or brown recluses in there. Oh,
you never know what's going to be dead inside your boot. I remember skiing with my dad, and like we're sitting there at lunch, and he's like, oh, my boot's like, this left one is like a lot smaller. I don't know, like maybe I left a sock in here. And he took it out and he dumped it out, and there's this dead mouse inside the boot.
Oh my God. Ew. And he has his toes mashed up against that.
Yeah, exactly. Into dead mouse guts.
Holy cow. Okay, so I want to share a story that has nothing to do with triathlon, but it's something that's going on with me this week before we jump into our topic today, which is going to be short, but we're going to talk about setting up a good space inside for working out so that you're not completely demotivated. And then also maybe talk about a couple fun stories about working out outside and why you should just embrace the adventure of, working out outside in the winter, why you should embrace the adventure of, inclement weather. But first I wanted to say that we are going to be having a new family member here at the Hiken household.
Really?
Which is, yes. I guess I'm probably a little, well, I've shared before, I'm a little out of my mind sometimes. And I just finished passing the CPA exam. So my study schedule, I don't have to study anymore. It's like very relaxing. All I do is work and work out. And so, I was farting around online, and I have, liked all these dog rescue pages and whatnot on Facebook and stuff. So I just get, because then, when you like anything on Facebook, then it pops up like wherever, right? So of course I see this dog rescue pops up, and I'm like looking through it, and I see they're saying she's a Jack Russell, which I said I'd never get another Jack Russell, but obviously I'm a liar too. So it's a Jack Russell Australian cattle dog mix.
Oh, wow. And
I had wanted an Australian cattle dog before we ended up getting our second Jack Russell. So I was like, ooh, and she's super cute, and she's 9 months old. And our 2-year-old Jack Russell has been trying to get our 15-year-old to play with her because she's bored.
Yeah.
And he's like, piss off.
Yeah.
And because I'm an 80-year-old man, I just want to lay here and lick where my nuts used to be. And, and so I was like, I want to rescue this. There was just something about her. I was like, I want to just rescue this dog. And so basically I convinced Josh, and he's like, this is all on you if this turns into, a nightmare. So her name's Penelope. She's arriving on Saturday, she was from the streets of Tijuana. So
wow.
I'm sure she's international, but she's she's crate trained. She's 9 months old. She has all of her shots and microchipped and everything. And so I think it'll be good. And hopefully they said she's got energy, but she's kind of mellow and, so I'm hopeful that this will be good for everybody and that we can offer her, a loving home. And I'm hoping that Zoe, the queen, our 2-year-old who runs this house, will, actually embrace this and enjoy it as opposed to being like, I need to lord over her. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a process. But I was thinking that this whole week I've been like so excited, like this just feels right. It feels good. And, I ran it past my AA sponsor and because I was like, I kind of manipulated Josh a little bit and I don't know how great that is. And she was like, well, you owe him an amends. So I've made the amends, but she was like, sometimes things happen in the, just because the universe is like, this is what needs to happen, because I've looked at thousands of rescue dogs all the time and I never just pull the trigger. I just go, we can't have a third dog. And this one I was like, I must have. But what occurred to me this morning, and I'll just share this before we move on, is that early on when I was dating Josh, like 11 years ago, early on, we weren't even really a couple. We stopped seeing each other. And that's a whole different story I'm not going to even bother getting into, but let's just say I'm not a friend with benefits. I'm too old for that. So, we quit seeing each other for about 6 weeks or maybe 2 months, something like that. During that time, I had some friends that were like, you should try online dating. I'm like, I'm not, that's not my thing. I don't, and they're like, let's just make a profile. I'm like, okay. So I made this profile. This is my one attempt at online dating, and I'll just speed through everything and say, this guy took me, we met for coffee. He was nice, not into him at all. But he was a nice guy and a triathlete. So we were just chatting about everything and swimming in the bay and all this stuff, and went out to eat. And then he walked me to my car, and the punchline is, don't know why, but he lost control of his bowels right in front of me.
And that was the end of it.
Yes.
That's,
all the way down like a puddle.
Nightmare.
Like he was standing in a puddle all of a sudden. And I was like, what? I heard this noise and I smelled awfulness. And then I looked down because I was like, did this guy just like fart in front of me? And it was fine, but I was just like, whoa. And I looked down and it was like, he was standing and he was like, and I was like, so I said, are you okay? Which no one's okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't like move. He didn't try to get away from me or anything. He just stood there.
Yep.
And lost control of his bowels while looking me in the eye.
With the eye contact. That's wow.
So a guy on my team, I told my teammates about this story, and a guy was like, no, he wanted to see, he probably wants someone to take care of him or something. That was like, he did that on purpose. Like, because a normal man would have tried to run from a woman that they were trying to date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
My thought this morning was, please, dear God, don't let this online dog dating be anything like my previous online dating.
That would be a nightmare. That would be a living nightmare. I'm just trying to wrap my head around someone like looking you in the eye while he's like shitting his pants. Usually people look away in shame, right? Or just ashamed and like, oh, this is happening. I'm a grown ass person. I
would have tried to get away. I wouldn't have stood flat-footed staring someone in the face for sure. I would have been like, something's happening. I gotta, you know what I mean? But
what was the expression on his face? Like shock, horror, or like, what are you going to do?
It was kind of a weird look. Like what happened is we were standing in this parking garage and he kind of got this weird look on his face. And I thought, oh my God, is this guy going to try to kiss me or something? Because he looked kind of nervous and weird. And I was like, I'm not, and then I kind of realized like, oh, I'm standing in this garage with this guy. I don't even know him. Like he's kind of big. It was like over 6 feet tall.
This is where you die.
Yeah, that was the thought. Because I listened to a lot of true crime podcasts. And I was like, what the hell? And I guess at that time, that was friggin' over 11 years ago. It was probably true crime TV. But anyway, and then I just heard a noise, like a gurgling noise.
Ooh.
And then I smelled the smell of, what it would smell like if someone crapped their pants. And I looked down just out of like not knowing what to do, out of awkwardness. And that's when I realized he was standing in a puddle of diarrhea.
Wow.
And the truth is, like, on race day, if someone has poop on them, I'm like, whoa, whatever. That's how, gastrointestinal issues. And I'm totally like, whatever. But if it's like not race day and you're just wearing jeans in a parking structure, I'm not down.
Yeah, that's a little less forgivable.
There's a time and a place for crapping yourself. And the only time and place for me is, I mean, I've never done it, but that would be acceptable, would be a triathlon.
It's either a triathlon, you're right, or if you're like 4 years old.
Oh, yeah, if you're a child or if you're 90. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, if
true.
you're at either end of your life, but if you're just at the time, like, 39-year-old dude.
You think he's a listener to the show?
I don't know. My God. Hopefully not, in a way. I mean, that would be, I won't say any names. So if you are listening, just know your, secret's safe with me. But he did reach out the next day and said, I had a good date, except for
that's, wow.
And I was just like, best of luck to you. I'm not, there's just dating rules. And one of them is, if you crap yourself in front of me, not getting a second date.
If you shit yourself, you should like probably move to a new state, at that point.
Every time I go to a triathlon, I'm like, like looking around like for this guy.
I had no idea you were like scoping it out for like shit pants guy.
Well, my friends nicknamed him Mudslide. So they'll be like, did you see Mudslide at the race? I'm like, no, thank God.
Shout out to Mudslide. Like, hey, Mudslide, leave us rating and review on iTunes.
Yes, if you haven't reviewed our show, go ahead and then you could just write, I am Mudslide in your review.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, that's my little story. I'm just praying that this dog doesn't turn into the online, fiasco that my dating, because it's hard when you just see an online profile to know what the real deal is.
Yeah, like shitting myself in public, parking spaces is not really part of the profile.
What? Gosh, it was all pictures of him racing. It was no pictures of him losing control of his bowels randomly.
I know we have other stuff to discuss, but I'm just like, I can't get over this. Like, I can't. I mean, that's one thing to happen if you've been going out for a while, and it's like, well, this could be the end of the relationship. But like right off the bat, and
if Josh crapped himself, I'd be like, oh, honey, what can I do? Can I help you? This guy, I knew him for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's. Wow. Wow.
Which is motivation for me to make my current relationship work forever. So I never have to go back online.
Yeah, I would never online date again. Mm-mm. Oh, mm-mm. Man.
Yeah, so anyhow, that's my those are my current thoughts.
Yeah, speaking of shitting your pants, let's talk about how to set up a good like pain cave. I don't really like the term pain cave because I generally enjoy cycling and running.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know what I'd call it though. Pleasure cave. That'd sound a little too weird.
That
goes a different way.
That goes back to the crapping yourself in front of somebody type scenario.
Yeah. So if anyone has a good idea of what you call something other than a pain cave, just let us know. Either leave us a review on iTunes or just hit us up at agegroupies@gmail.com.
Yeah, we don't. So the thing about the reviews, just really quickly, you guys, it really helps us to get an iTunes review. Just go to that purple icon on your iPhone and hit it. Subscribe to Age Groupies, even if you don't listen to it there, and then rate and review. So give us 5 stars and then say anything you want, because the algorithm doesn't care what you say. It only cares about that you subscribed and rated it. So you could literally be like, just don't use profane language. So you could just say like, I am Mudslide, or you could tell us the name of what you call your workout zone. But yeah, rate and review us because it'll help us, get sponsors and help us keep doing this. And, okay. So let me just say this really quickly. I have moved out of the garage. I finally invested in a smart trainer because I had that
so
old
good,
timey.
isn't it?
Oh man, and got on Zwift, and I love it. The only reason I haven't been on this week is because my bike is in the shop getting a much needed tune up. But yes, oh my gosh, love. I can actually ride indoors now. I mean, I had so many years where I just would like dread getting on the mechanical trainer, and I wouldn't really do it. So if it was rainy, it was like, well, there goes all my cycling fitness. That was basically my attitude. But I have an office at home. My daughter, is in her mid-20s, and she moved out a few years ago. And then I kind of just took over that room and turned it into an office. And I rearranged it so I could make my workout zone in my office. So I have half of it's work, and the other half of it is all, my mats, my rollers, my weights. I've got my TV there so I can watch, whatever while I'm doing it. And then I've got my smart trainer here so I can just throw my bike on it. And it's sunny, it's bright, it's light.
Yes.
And don't tell my bosses, but when I have to be on these meetings where I don't need to participate in any way, I can get on the smart trainer and just have the meeting on and listen to it.
Don't tell my boss, but I might do the exact same thing, either be on the treadmill or on my bike. I had an awesome... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so is that all still in your garage, or did you make it a different space? Or?
Well, okay, so I have two different spaces. My garage has my smart trainer, and so that's where I do my Zwifting for the most part, and my cycling. And at work, I have the treadmill that you so graciously donated to me, and my old, I guess you'd call it just a regular dumb trainer. Mm-hmm. It has one of those sensors so I can participate in things like Zwift.
Oh, cool.
It has my road bike, which is at this point kind of a beater, but it serves its purpose.
Yeah.
So I have those both in my office. So like during my lunch breaks, or if I get someone who cancels, then I can jump on there and get it in, which is great. Because what I noticed about being a boss is that I actually have to be at the job site a lot more, like all the time. Before, when I wasn't the boss at my other job, I could sneak off for like an hour and a half and go on a run, and sneak back in the back door. And not so much here, not so much at all. So now I can walk and talk, and I can cycle and talk a little bit, or I can just like be on those meetings and be walking and running.
Yeah.
So much better. But I mean, it's better than. Obviously, we are fortunate enough to have the funds available to do these things, to set up pretty much a home gym. So if you, I think our moral to this story is if you're able to set it up where you work or where you live right there. Yeah. So the barrier to actually working out isn't there. You don't have to drive to a gym,
and make it, I mean, for me, I think there are people who like that whole pain cave idea, and it's like this gym, this garage is like, and that's cool if that's you. That's just not me. And so for me, I wanted moving my stuff into my office space where it's like, inside the house, and it's a pleasant space to be in, helps the motivating factor for getting a workout done, inside. I've always been much better at like either getting outside or going to the gym. And so it's been a little bit of a transition for me to get those things together in a place in the house where I where I will be motivated to work out.
Yeah.
So that's, I think you just got to do a little bit of nesting around your, workout space. And if you don't have the funds for like a smart trainer, because they are super pricey. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like Mike said, you can still get a quote unquote dumb trainer with a sensor. Those are significantly less money. I had just a plain old just mechanical dumb trainer. I didn't use Zwift. Like I think I've mentioned it before on the show a long time ago that I'd get on the trainer and I'd watch like Agatha Christie movies, which did not help me pick up the pace at all. But
oh no, you can't get your heart rate up with watching Agatha Christie
with tea and crumpets and murder. So, but you can get on the dumb trainer, and there are plenty of like, dumb trainer workouts online. I mean, that is something I did start doing, was just that, you know, in terms of what to do on that trainer, because I'm not on Zwift. It's not changing the the resistance. You know, you can just, there are tons of free PDFs that just tell you like X amount of, you know, RPMs RPMs for a certain amount of minutes, blah, 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 and like how to go up and down. And so there are definitely ways that you can just follow that. And it's, I think you can get a trainer for under $100 at this point.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So there's that. And then of course, you know, I just have some free weights, and I've got my yoga stuff. There's a lot of free yoga. So there are ways to make your a home workout space, especially during the winter, where you can do maybe alternative exercise that will support your endurance, like, you know, obviously strength, stretching, yoga. I mean, there's a lot of free stuff online on YouTube that you could follow if you just have a mat. So you could get a mat and a smart trainer. I mean, a mat and a dumb trainer combined for maybe $125.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah. and I'm also a big fan of building in things that, you know, workouts into stuff you're already doing. Like when I used to be able to before I had a working dog, be able to ride my bike to work. That was great. And like we talked about, you being able to walk or cycle if you can during conference calls was another thing. Yeah. So you're not doing necessarily taking more time. You're just changing the time that you already have dedicated to something else. Like if you watch TV for a couple hours, do that on a trainer.
Yeah.
Why not?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I was kind of doing, you know, when I had the dumb trainer, was that like, that was sort of my time. If I was going to do the dumb trainer, because I hated it so much, it was like, well, if I'm going to sit on the couch and watch HGTV, I might as well be pedaling. At least I'm doing something, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah, there are ways to get it in for sure. And, and of course we're saying that, you know, as Californians, when, I mean, I know people from the East Coast are like, you guys are a bunch of pussies and you could go outside every single day.
Yeah.
Because literally like our winter is their spring or whatever. But,
so which, you know, I would reply to them, well, our state burns down every year, so fuck you.
Right. So there you go.
So there you go, East Coasters. Ball's in your court. Your move now.
This episode is going to be rated E for content. Yeah. So, you know, guys, definitely feel free to post on our social media pictures and suggestions about how to make your workout space indoors, you know, palatable, and what you do to make the workouts fun and keep going, especially those of you who live in other areas. You know, there may be new triathletes who listen to this who do live in, like, you know, on the East Coast or in the Midwest and don't really know how to set themselves up. And we don't have advice. We know what to do if it's smoky or rainy. So definitely share that with us. And so I want a question about just going outside in the winter.
Yeah.
Do you have any good winter time?
I used to, before I really got full on into triathlon, I used to be into what's called Go Ruck, and it's like you put a backpack on with some weight and go get hazed basically for either half a day or a full 24 hours by special forces people. So training
Sounds
for
nuts.
this, yeah, like I've done all the events in San Francisco, so it always involved jumping in the ocean at a certain point, you know. Oof. Usually in the middle of the night.
No.
And so getting like cold, wet, and miserable was part of it. So eventually I stopped trying to avoid getting wet, and going for runs in the rain became kind of fun. I mean, if you have material that'll keep you warm, it's okay to get wet. You're not going to melt. Yeah. You know, if you have the right kind of gear. And if you get wet, it's okay. You can dry off later. As long as you're not getting freezing cold and getting hypothermia, you're going to be just fine. Yeah. So some of the training involved in, I remember visiting my wife's family up in Canada, and it was a small town in Canada. And, you know, so they always know like when people from out of town are there. And I see these polite, nice Canadians like looking at me very concerned as I'm like marching around their neighborhood with a backpack on, and in like pouring rain, and jumping in puddles and doing burpees in puddles and like flutter kicks. And maybe I just solidified like how militaristic and crazy Americans are. But yeah, they did look very concerned, but they were too polite to say anything.
They're like, this is exactly what we thought America was like.
my favorite was during one of these events, I think they were calling cadence at one point. And so you have this group of like 60 or 70, Americans carrying backpacks with a flag in the front, marching through like the Golden Gate Bridge Visitor Center. And I remember seeing all these like Asian tourists, who got off a bus, like looking at it, and they're like, oh, wow. Yeah, these Americans are even crazier than we thought. They're like marching around, like preparing for war. So there's hilarious. That. Moral of the story, it's okay to get wet.
Yeah, it is. I actually, our team went up to Marin to run the Dipsy one Saturday morning. And the forecast was calling for rain, later in the day. And so we went up early. Like, I think we got to Marin by 8 a.m. And then, we're ready to run by 8 a.m. And literally we pulled up, stepped out. Everyone got their gear, and the sky just opened up right as we started running. Perfect. And the thing for me was that when we'd all met together and carpooled up, and I have running rain gear, and I'm happy to run in the rain, but we decided to carpool, and I ended up not driving, being a passenger, and I had left all of that in my car. So I had this fleece on, which is what I was just wearing, for comfort, and was planning to wear home, and it was this North Face like fleece. And so I was running in that because I'm like, I don't have anything else. And that thing was like a sponge. I mean, it just kept, so it was basically like I was running, doing the Dipsy in with like a weight pack. Cause the thing was so heavy. I kept having to take it off and wring it out cause it was raining so hard. And I would just be like, I'm weighted down. And, have you ever done, I don't know if you've ever done the Dipsy, but when you come across the top, you theoretically could see Stinson Beach when you're right at the top, but, cause it's open. But the rain was doing that thing where it was coming sideways, at you. And Tim was like, oh, Stinson's right over there. And everyone kind of looked. We're like, ow, ow. The rain's like coming in our eyes. And then it's just downhill, right? Because it's like up. And then you go down to the beach. And it's a single track. And it's got, it's technical. And we're running in a line. And I was in the first, because there's two kind of groups. And this is back when I was coaching with Team Sheeper. So I was with the group B, kind of quote unquote, B leader. And so I was in the front, and there were some people, everyone's behind me, and we're chatting and running. It's just, just dump. It never stopped. And so thick that that you couldn't see the trail. Like there was just water rushing down the trail. And we heard, so it was myself and then this guy, Derek, and then Cassandra. And we heard the sound of Cassandra's foot hitting a rut. And it was like Matrix. Derek and I both just turned and jumped up on the side of the trail. And then she just came by doing those huge strides that you do when you're trying to like not fall on your ass. Yeah. And she actually saved it. We were like, nice save. She was like, ah, she went past us. But, we got to the end of that, and the van, someone had driven the team van over, and we changed into some dry clothes. People lent me clothes because I was, wearing what it was really fun and so rewarding. Yeah. And, no one melted. And I think some of the best memories I have of endurance sports are when there is like something like that that's extra challenging. That you kind of had this group experience. Like it was really rainy or whatever, something, It's
a bonding experience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm with you. Like, I think more than anything, the rain really forces you to be present because you are feeling those drops.
Oh, yeah.
You're feeling those drops every, multiple times a second. So, well, by the time everyone hears this, I will have received my second COVID shot, which I am on the way to get now.
Awesome. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to go get that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So everyone jump in. And maybe the topic for this week is what, for the iTunes reviews is what you call your pain cave, or talk about something to do with a mudslide.
Yes. We'll see you next week.
All right, everyone. Take care.
Alrighty, that concludes today's episode of the Age Groupies Podcast with me, Lindsay Hiken, and my co-host, Mike Ergo. We really hope you enjoyed it. You can follow the show on Instagram at Age Groupies, join our Age Groupies page on Facebook, and look us up by name, Lindsay Hiken and Mike Ergo on Strava. If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email us at agegroupies@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, as this really helps us get more exposure while we try to grow this little venture. And of course, if you have friends you think might like the show, please be sure to share it with them. But for now, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.